So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Candidate Connect, an event organized by the team at the Chamber of Commerce for Greater Moncton. My name is Matt Carter, Chair of the Chamber Board of Directors. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the lands on which we gather are by law the unceded territories of the Maliseet and Mi'kmaq peoples. May we learn to live with respect on the land in peace and harmony with its people. So first, I would like to also give thanks to our incredible members, board members, and distinguished guests for being here today. At the Chamber, advocacy is an important part of what the Chamber's mandate is. And we are the voice of the business community, and we take that role very seriously, speaking on behalf of our 950 plus members. That is why we decided, as the provincial election campaign nears, to organize this opportunity for you to hear from the three party leaders to meet our local candidates standing for election. Our Chamber Advocacy Committee has been hard at work developing our priorities for this election. And those priorities were validated in just the last few weeks through our most recent member survey. With you, what you, our members, told us and what we are carrying forward to the parties and the candidates is that you want to hear specific policies and plans on key issues such as housing, homelessness, healthcare, education, tax reform, and red tape. All of these priorities and others are important to ensure Greater Moncton, which is the fastest growing CMA in Canada for 2 consecutive years, continues to be a catalyst for growth for all of New Brunswick. Tonight is your opportunity to hear what the party leaders and candidates have to say on those issues, which are so important to our region. I want to thank Premier Blaine Higgs, Ms. Susan Holt, and Mr. David Coon for joining us tonight, as well as many other candidates, local candidates, who are putting their names forward to run in our provincial election. Our interim CEO, Xavier Infantes, will come forward in a few minutes to explain how the event will unfold. But before that happens, I want to thank the University of Moncton for their cooperation in agreeing to host today's event. UDM and the Chamber have forged a closer relationship in recent years, and on the university side, that isn't due in large part due to the work of Eric Larocque and University President Dr. Denis Prudhomme. This year, UDM celebrates 60 years. Over the past 6 decades, this campus and the satellite campuses in Shippagan and Edmundston have produced thousands of graduates who have gone on to help build our business community. UDM graduates have become business leaders and visionaries. Others have filled important roles in our labor force. Greater Moncton would not be what it is today without the significant contribution of UDM. So to the UDM team that's here today, a big thank you. So without further ado, it is my pleasure at this point to welcome to the podium the President and Rector of UDM, Dr. Denis Prudhomme. Dr. Denis Prudhomme is the President and Vice Chancellor of the University of Moncton. He has a strong academic background with a bachelor's and a master's degree in kinesiology and a doctorate in medicine. From 1988 to 2001, he served as a professor and clinician at the University of Laval. In 2002, he became the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences at the University of Ottawa and worked as a clinician at the Autosis Sports Medicine Clinic. By 2013, he was appointed Scientific Director of the Institut de Savoir Montfort. In 2019, he took on the roles of Interim CEO, Academic Vice President at the Hospital Montfort. His expertise includes sports medicine, having served as head physician for the Canadian team at the Jeux de la Francophone with various university and national sports teams. His research explores physical activity, nutrition, and medication impacts on obesity, metabolic syndrome, diabetes, mental health, and language barriers in care quality. He also holds several prominent roles in academic and sports organizations. Please welcome Dr. Prudhomme. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde. L'honorable Premier ministre Blaine Higgs, la chef du Parti libéral du Nouveau-Brunswick, Susan Holt, le député et chef du Parti vert du Nouveau-Brunswick, David Coon, chers députés, personnes candidates, membres de la Chambre de commerce du Grand Moncton, membres de la communauté universitaire, distingués invités. Alors, comme mentionné, nous sommes ravis d'être le partenaire de choix de la Chambre de commerce du Grand Moncton pour cet événement. C'est avec plaisir que nous vous accueillons sur notre magnifique campus, un lieu qui favorise les discussions dans un contexte respectueux. Lundi dernier, le 3 septembre, nous avons aussi vécu un moment historique pour notre université. Pour la première fois, nous avons hissé le drapeau de l'Université de Moncton devant l'hôtel de ville de Moncton, célébrant non seulement la rentrée universitaire, mais comme vous l'avez bien mentionné, mais aussi l'esprit de collaboration qui unit l'université à la ville de Moncton. Depuis sa fondation, l'Université de Moncton, avec son réseau de plus de 43 000 diplômés, contribue activement aux sociétés acadiennes, mais aussi à la francophonie canadienne et internationale. Nous sommes un pilier de l'enseignement supérieur en français au Nouveau-Brunswick, officiellement bilingue, contribuant ainsi à favoriser la coexistence harmonieuse de nos deux langues officielles. D'ailleurs, hier, on recevait, et je participais également à titre de membre au Business Council pour avoir des discussions sur comment on peut améliorer et contribuer à l'économie au Nouveau-Brunswick. Our facilities and infrastructure are open to the community. They serve as a space for meetings like this, sports, cultural activities, and innovation, reflecting our commitment to improve the quality of life, not only for our students, but also for the citizens of the Great Moncton and also the surrounding region. L'Université de Moncton dépasse également son rôle de simple établissement d'enseignement. Elle se positionne comme un partenaire stratégique pour le Grand Moncton et la province du Nouveau-Brunswick, jouant un rôle clé dans le développement socio-économique, sportif, culturel et politique. We are also working, one of our strategic major projects is to create a social incubator to address major issues as the homeless, les sans-abri, toxicomanie, etc. Alors cette année, plus de 5 316 étudiants contribueront à la vitalité de nos communautés, ici à Moncton, mais aussi à Edmundston et à Chupagan. C'est aussi un nombre record d'étudiants depuis 1994. Donc, malgré les politiques, on réussit à attirer. Merci. Enfin, vous avez pu voir à l'entrée que notre équipe de communication vous a distribué un dépliant Cap sur l'avenir qui propose une transformation audacieuse de l'université qui, à mon avis, est nécessaire pour s'adapter rapidement aux changements dans le monde universitaire et répondre encore plus aux besoins de nos communautés. Alors, le 23 septembre prochain, nous lancerons notre nouvelle plateforme, l'Université de Moncton en mouvement, qui va vous permettre de suivre nos réalisations et rester informés sur l'avancement de nos transformations, puis ça en temps réel. En terminant, je vous souhaite à tous les candidats l'excellente campagne et on nous souhaite une bonne discussion. Merci beaucoup.
Bonjour à tous. Merci Matt, Dr Prudhomme, merci infiniment. Chers distingués invités et candidats, mon nom est Xavier Infantas, moi je suis le directeur général intérimaire de la Chambre de commerce pour le Grand Moncton. Je vais prendre quelques minutes pour expliquer comment se déroulera la suite de l'événement aujourd'hui. I will take a couple of minutes to explain how the rest of the event will unfold. As you know, we are very fortunate to have with us Premier Blaine Higgs, the progressive-conservative, liberal leader Susan Holt, and Green Party leader David Coon. We really appreciate all of the three of you to take the time in your schedules to come and join us today. I would also like to thank our many local candidates from various parties who have joined us today. Je tiens également à remercier les nombreux candidats locaux des différents partis qui nous ont rejoints. First, a few housekeeping matters. I would like to add my thanks to the Université de Moncton for being so gracious a host. Please enjoy some food and some refreshments that have been organized for you today. Bien qu'il s'agisse d'un forum politique, nous encourageons chacun à faire preuve de collégialité et à écouter respectueusement ce que nos chefs de parti ont à dire. Although this is a political forum, we encourage everyone to be collegial and listen respectfully to what our party leaders have to say. So I'm sure that this won't be like yesterday what you watch on TV. It will definitely be way better. We conducted a random order speaking draw for today, and we will lead off with a 10-minute presentation by David Coon. This will be followed by a 10-minute address by Susan Holt, and then Mr. Blaine Higgs will close with his 10 minutes. The afternoon will conclude with a networking time of approximately 20-30 minutes. Feel free to stay if you prefer. After that, c'est l'occasion pour vous de vous entretenir en tête-à-tête avec le chef de parti ou avec les candidats locaux. We encourage you to make known your own priority issues for the next provincial government. With that, now it's my pleasure to introduce Green Party leader David Coon. Mr. Coon has been elected 3 times by people of Fredericton South and is seeking a 4th term to represent the residents in the new riding of Fredericton-Lincoln. His commitment to community shines through his decade-long engagement with constituents, convening town halls and helping them solve problems. He has earned a reputation for getting things done for people in need. David envisions a New Brunswick where young people are inspired to stay and newcomers are drawn by a commitment to a vibrant, sustainable future, which will be achieved through collaboration, action, and government that places the well-being of people, communities, and the environment at the center of everything it does. Ladies and gentlemen, David Coon.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Xavier. Merci, Monsieur le Recteur, Professeur Prudhomme, pour votre bienvenue chaleureuse. So there's a timer, I'm told. I see it. 10 minutes is not long. Thank you and merci for the invitation au Chambre de commerce pour le Grand Moncton to participate here and speak. Hello to my colleagues who are here. And quickly, I just want to introduce some of the candidates who are here from our slate in the Moncton area. Diane Blanco pour la circonscription de Moncton-Est, Vincent Marola from Moncton South, Jacques Giguère pour la circonscription de Dieppe-Memramcook, and Sarah Lord from Riverview. So, you know, the legislature, we have usually 1 minute or 40 minutes to talk. So 10 minutes is always a trick. And that's all the little bit of humor you're going to get, because these are serious times and it's time for serious talk. My constituents know that I'm a person, as their MLA, who gets things done, who solves problems, who finds solutions and won't rest until those solutions are in place. That's how I do my job as a parliamentarian and as a party leader as well, working collegially with my colleagues. I bring the same approach to governing. We need to stop kicking things down the road and solve them. We need to do this in a collegial and cooperative fashion. This is going to require some restructuring to ensure it happens. We've got to do government differently, and we've got to do the Legislative Assembly differently. And we got a hint of that. We got a hint of that during the minority government between 2018 and 2020. After about a year of getting our sea legs in a minority situation, the first in 100 years, I think we did some good things among all 3 parties collaborating together. So we need more of that, because we can't continue to run government the way it's been done. It can't continue to work at a snail's pace, nor can it continue to bury people on paperwork. We can't afford it. People's health is in the balance, as is their well-being. Je siège à l'Assemblée depuis 10 ans maintenant, et je travaille au comité plus 10 ans de travail en commission. Je sais où se trouvent les obstacles et comment les éliminer. I know the Chamber's identified these three top issues, so I'm going to touch on the three: homelessness and downtown security, healthcare and education, investments, and lack of housing. So, homelessness and downtown security. We know homelessness is significantly driven by mental illness and by the lack of housing. So to address homelessness, we've got to provide housing, and we've got to provide much better mental health care. So many of those who are in the homeless population are suffering from serious trauma. Almost 50% of the homeless population were first homeless at the age of under 28, and more than a third of those who are in foster care or in group homes end up homeless. So we have tremendous opportunities to reduce the number of people who end up in homelessness, but right now we've got a challenge right in front of us to address those who are homeless today. They need housing, and those who are most difficult to house need critical, complex care housing. This has been successfully done in British Columbia over a number of years for people who are difficult to house, and I understand it well because I've worked with many homeless people in my own constituency, and some are hard to help. But they can be helped, they can be supported, and we can find solutions for them. And I think critical complex care housing is essential, and it should be built and operated or built by New Brunswick, the new renewed New Brunswick Housing Corporation. We've got to enhance mental health treatment for people. And it's one thing to provide more rehab beds, which we need, but there's no point if the reason for substance abuse and addictions is underlying trauma and mental illness. We've got to treat the underlying trauma and mental illness. So we need to provide access that is at no cost to people for counseling, mental health counseling, and psychotherapy where it was going to serve them well. We need, I believe in Moncton, we want to see a downtown community health center to serve the vulnerable in this city, including the homeless population. That's exactly what exists in the city of Fredericton. It works very well. It's a partnership between the University of New Brunswick and Horizon Health, and I hear there's something in the wind, maybe hear of a partnership between the Université de Moncton and Vitalité. I hope that's the case. With respect to housing, lack of housing, I want to give NB Housing the mandate to drive specifically and in a focused way the development of non-market, non-profit, and cooperative housing through new builds and renovations, repurposing of existing homes. They need to move rapidly. We need to light a fire under them to do just that. And the government owns plenty of properties. We need to put them into a land bank and make them available as well, not just to NB Housing, but to the commercial sector. On the commercial side, I believe we can drive the construction of new low-rent, affordable housing by changing the property assessment system so that low-rent housing property assessment is based on the total rental income of those units. So low rental housing will have lower rental income and will have a much lower property assessment. Luxury apartments will have a higher rental income and will have a higher property assessment. This will drive the construction of more affordable housing as it will reduce the tax level taxes that are being paid today on that kind of housing. We need to join Nova Scotia and PEI in removing the PST on new or repurposed, renovated or retrofitted rental properties. From the outset, I called on our own government to make that agreement with the federal government as they were removing their portion of the HST. That will help. And we need clear targets. In cities like Moncton, we need an urban housing strategy with specific targets here by which we can be measured against and need to be achieved. With respect to health, you guys picked a lot of big topics, and 10 minutes is, not much time to talk to them. So with respect to healthcare, so we would enshrine the right to access primary healthcare so everyone ends up being assigned to a collaborative, team-based family practice. But for that to work, will require a generational investment to fix the healthcare system, to provide a funding model to compensate the other members of those teams, nurses, nurse practitioners, dietitians, whoever are part of the collaborative team-based family practice. We need a funding model to do that. It doesn't exist today, and we would put it in place so that all members of the family practice team will be fairly compensated and avoid the situation now where physicians essentially have to pay for whoever joins their team out of their pocket. We would enhance hospital care by restoring the authority of local hospital administrators to manage emergency acute services in their hospitals, to end and break down the silos that have developed in the hospitals since we went to the 2 RHA model, so that everyone in our hospitals can work as teams together in each of those hospitals. I've heard that time and time and time again from doctors, from nurses, from porters, from housekeepers, from hospital administrators. We need to enable those working in our hospitals to once again work as a team and feel like they're part of the same effort. So that means providing more authority. We would also establish locally elected community health boards to determine services based on community needs that are identified locally that otherwise might not be captured centrally by the province. I know the members were also interested and are also interested in education, and particularly the burden on the education system right now with the tremendous explosion and growth in Moncton, the Greater Moncton area. That brings tremendous opportunities as well as significant significant challenges. And so the challenges have to be addressed. And certainly we're seeing that across the boards, but including the education system. I think those challenges would be far easier to address if our school districts once again were operating at a proper scale. So more on the scale of Greater Moncton, for example. So a return to the 14 school districts that we previously had, to ensure that the staff in those school districts can focus on their schools more locally, that they're not stretched out, the resource teachers are not traveling all over the place, spending too much time in their car and too little time in the classroom with our students. We did save no money by amalgamating school districts, and we lost a lot of self-reliance and ability to address local needs in a timely manner. So you know what, that's my time, and I want to respect that, but I'll just say New Brunswickers feel poorly served and have been for some time. My commitment is to action. The solutions are at hand. People on the ground are proposing all kinds of effective solutions, but we need to first, after being elected, rebuild that trust between the people and we as government. That starts with respect, but it succeeds through action, and that's what I'm about, is action. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Merci. J'ai maintenant le plaisir de vous présenter la chef du Parti libéral, Madame Susan Holt. Madame Holt est la candidate de Fredericton South, Silverwood. Elle a grandi à Fredericton et a de l'expérience en affaires, en leadership communautaire et en entreprise sociale. Elle a également travaillé au sein du gouvernement sur les politiques sociales et économiques. Madame Holt prône un leadership ouvert, inclusif et axé sur les gens, dans le but de créer des communautés diversifiées et autonomes ayant accès à des logements abordables, à des soins de santé de qualité, à l'éducation et à l'énergie verte. Madame Holt s'engage en faveur d'une politique respectueuse qui renforce la démocratie par le biais d'une participation pleine et entière de la diversité. Mesdames et messieurs, Madame Susan Holt.
Merci beaucoup Xavier. Merci Monsieur Prudhomme pour nous accueillir ici à l'Université de Moncton. Thank you Matt, appreciate your service as the chair of the Greater Moncton Chamber. And thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate that you chose to spend your time on this Wednesday afternoon here, hearing from politicians about what we see as the priorities. Alors, j'apprécie énormément que vous avez choisi d'être ici parmi nous pour nous écouter et considérer votre choix quand on se rend à le 21 octobre. The first thing I want to start off by sharing with you is how important I think it is that we are governed by a team of people. Le Nouveau-Brunswick, c'est une province tellement diverse. C'est différent dans chaque coin, l'un à l'autre. On a besoin d'une équipe, une belle équipe qui gouverne cette province avec des perspectives différentes, avec des expériences différentes. I think it's really important that we have a team of people with diverse experience and different perspectives that come together to collectively govern this province. So I'm really proud to present to you some of the amazing members of Team Holt. On a 6 de nos candidats et des élus qui sont ici avec nous aujourd'hui. Alors, je veux les présenter à vous autres. I'm going to start with the MLA for Moncton Centre, Rob McKee. On a notre candidat de Dieppe, Memram Cook, Natasha Vautour. Notre candidate pour Moncton Sud et professeure ici à l'Université de Moncton, Claire Johnson. Une autre professeure d'ici de l'Université de Moncton, Lynn Chantal Boudreau, la candidate pour Chandaré, Irish Town. And then next to her, our candidate for Moncton Northwest, Tanya Soti. Et finalement, notre candidate pour Moncton Est, Alexandre Cédric Doucette. Aussi, un étudiant qui était ici, président du FECUM de l'Université de Moncton aussi. Alors, hey, Denis, vous produisez des excellentes diplômés puis de professeurs ici. Alors, merci à l'équipe pour être là. This is an incredible team of people with clearly deep experience and, more importantly, a deep passion for this area and this community. So the thing that I want to share with you that covers all of the pieces that I'm going to talk about is the fact that our government is going to be focused on you. And we're going to flip the model. It can't be that policymakers in cubicles in Fredericton make decisions for the people of Moncton, because the people who know what is best for Moncton are the people of Moncton. C'est vous autres qui connaissez c'est quoi les opportunités, c'est quoi les enjeux. On a besoin d'avoir un programme de gouvernement qui a le leadership communautaire avec un support du gouvernement. So it needs to be community-led, government-supported. And so our team is keen to focus our energies on you and your priorities. So I'm going to address my comments to the priorities that the Chamber listed off, and I want to thank the Chamber for their work. I am a proud alumni of the Chamber system as well as the former CEO of the Fredericton Chamber of Commerce. So I know very well the power of bringing together passionate business leaders from big and small organizations who want to tackle improvements to their community and to their economy to make sure that we have prosperity for all. Je vais commencer par une promesse, parce que ceci c'est important pour le contexte de notre travail. A Holt government will deliver balanced budgets each year that we govern, and we will continue to pay down the debt. Notre équipe va balancer le budget à chaque année et on va continuer de réduire la dette provinciale. Les Néo-Brunswickois nous disent qu'ils veulent une stabilité fiscale. Ils ne veulent pas le chaos, le drame du moment. They tell us they don't want the chaos and the drama that we've seen. They want fiscal stability. But balanced budgets don't happen at the expense of services to New Brunswickers. It's our responsibility to make sure that we are balancing your needs for healthcare and education and a growing economy with the fiscal needs of the province to manage the budget responsibly. And that's what our team will do. It will be a balance of strengthening our healthcare system, ensuring that we have affordable and safe places for people to call home, while also delivering fiscal responsibility and continued debt reduction. Alors, j'aimerais commencer par parler du logement, parce que cet enjeu, c'est un enjeu que c'est clair ici à Moncton, c'est un enjeu majeur, puis on l'entend à chaque jour. You make it very clear to me every time I come to visit Moncton that housing and addressing homelessness is a priority of this region. I've seen it with the people that are in the room. I've seen it with the work of the chamber. You are bringing people together. You are collaborating as municipalities, business organizations, social and nonprofit organizations to tackle this challenge. And you are looking for a partner at the provincial level and a partner at the federal level to support your work. A Holt government will partner with the community of Moncton to tackle the housing and homelessness crisis. And there's a couple things that I want to talk about specifically that we're going to do on that front. Premièrement, on a besoin de plus de logements. Il y a un enjeu il n'y a pas assez de logements pour tout le monde. Alors nous autres, on va enlever la taxe provinciale sur les nouveaux développements. We will take the PST off of new developments in order to help add to the housing supply in Moncton. On va aussi faire une réforme au complet du système des impôts fonciers. Notre système des impôts fonciers a besoin de beaucoup de changements. We really need to overhaul our property tax system because it is holding us back. And I hear when we're out knocking on doors, I don't know, it's probably every third door that tells us they just got a property tax bill that is 30% higher than last year, or their property taxes have gone up 40% in the last few years, and people are finding it hard to make ends meet. I can remember talking to a senior on a fixed income who was looking at a property tax bill and thinking, I don't think I can pay this. And then they go to look at the rental market and they think, I can't find a place to live that I can afford that's an apartment. That's a tough choice. And we see that now, that we are seeing more and more economic homelessness because people can't afford to pay their bills. So we need to overhaul the property tax system. That starts from assessment all the way through, different categories, taking away the decoupling, making sure we have a system that is competitive, that we're applying the right rates to the right activities that incentivize the kind of development that we want. We want to see affordable housing. Our property tax system should encourage that. We want to see density. Our property tax system should encourage that as well. We need a system that ensures competitiveness, transparency, and predictability, so you know what your bill is going to be before it gets there, that is fair and affordable. That creates great conditions for development, nonprofit development, cooperative development, new places for people to live. So we are excited to tackle that right away and deliver with that the municipal fiscal reform that municipalities are asking for, so that they also then get the tools, the dollars, and the authority to tackle this problem at the community level. On entend des municipalités qu'ils ont besoin de cette réforme fiscale, puis ils attendent et ils attendent et ils attendent, et le gouvernement ne l'a pas touché, alors notre gouvernement va le faire aussitôt que possible pour que les communautés ont les outils qu'ils ont besoin pour adresser les problèmes au niveau sur le terrain où ils sont. We also have to do a lot more on the housing front. We've got to be involved soup to nuts. The government has to build more public housing. They have to get at the housing that we have now that is unoccupied. Specifically here in Moncton, the government needs to partner with the amazing organizations that are here, that are out there building supportive housing. We have some of them in the room. I can see a couple different leaders that are working really hard on this and are fighting in Fredericton to try to get support for their projects. We need government to partner on not-for-profit developments and cooperative developments. We need to make sure that the barriers have been reduced so that those solutions can flourish quickly. We also need places for folks who are struggling. We need those residential treatment beds that Moncton has long been waiting for, and we know you've been waiting. We hear it, that the time it took to get an RFP, the time it took to find the land, the time it's taking to break ground, all for 8 beds. As David said, we can't move at a snail's pace. We gotta move quicker. We need a government that's gonna recognize that this is a priority of this community and gets the system out of its own way, because those beds should have been in place years ago. And so we have to do that and then some. Mais on a besoin d'essayer qu'il y ait du monde sur le terrain qui peuvent aider dans le moment. Parce qu'on a des organisations qui travaillent fort, puis eux autres ont besoin de la main-d'œuvre au niveau communautaire. On a besoin d'avoir des professionnels de santé mentale qui ont un focus dans la communauté avec les organisations qui font le travail à chaque jour pour ceux qui sont sans abri. Alors ça a besoin de 2 choses. Des partenariats avec l'Université de Moncton, avec les collèges communautaires pour qu'on puisse avoir plus de main-d'œuvre qui peut livrer ses services en communauté avec nos partenariats sans but lucratif pour qu'on ait de l'accès aux services de santé mentale, des conseillers, des psychologues, des psychiatres. On en a besoin sur le terrain et aussi dans nos écoles. Alors, quand je parle, je vais checker. Est-ce que ça dit 0? Est-ce que ça veut dire que c'est plus que 10 minutes? C'est où le timer? J'ai juste regardé pour la première fois, puis ça me dit « OK, c'est pas commencé, alors j'ai beaucoup de temps à parler. Est-ce que c'est vrai? » Non, OK, je vais juste prendre une autre minute parce que j'ai pas parlé du système de santé et la santé mentale et le système de santé devraient être liés. Ça ne devrait pas être traité comme deux choses différentes. La santé mentale est la santé. Et pour nous autres, on entend à chaque jour que le système de santé est le premier enjeu que les Néo-Brunswickois veulent qu'on s'adresse. Healthcare is New Brunswickers' #1 priority. And the most important thing is that preventative, community-based primary care that everyone should have access to. But right now, more New Brunswickers than ever don't have a family doctor. We're going up to 180,000 New Brunswickers who don't have a family doctor. That has ballooned in the past 6 years. We used to have 93% of us covered by a family doctor. Now it's less than 80%. 180,000 of your friends and neighbors who can't get care. Even people who do have a doctor, only 30% of them can get in within 5 days. That's not primary care. That's why our team is committed to building the community-based, collaborative care practices that doctors, nurse practitioners, nurses, patients, pharmacists, physiotherapists are asking for. They've been asking for this model for years, and our team has been listening. So we will be putting in place here in Moncton one of the first of 30 collaborative care clinics that are going to go around the province so that those doctors and nurse practitioners can practice in teams. We can take the administration off their plate so that they can focus on patients and not paperwork and serve more New Brunswickers. That access to primary care takes pressure off our ERs and delivers a healthier population that can then support our growing economy. So we are really excited to advance that solution. I'd love to talk to you about school food. I know my time is up, but I'm looking forward to sticking around and hearing your questions and engaging with all of you. Nous autres, on a une équipe qui vous écoute. Pour nous autres, c'est vous avant tout. On va faire un travail d'équipe pour transformer notre système, on sort du Fredericton, on met notre focus sur vous autres, et on travaille avec un vrai partenariat, une vraie collaboration pour améliorer des choses pour les Néo-Brunswickois, pour qu'on puisse avoir un avenir meilleur. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Susan. Merci. Just want to be sure that the timer works. Yeah, it does. It does. Finally, it's my pleasure to introduce Premier and Progressive Conservative Party leader Blaine Higgs. Mr. Higgs is an MLA for Quispensys. He was born in Woodstock, New Brunswick, and holds a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from the University of New Brunswick. He completed executive management training at Queen's University in 1993 and has further education in finance and leadership. After university, he joined Irving Oil Limited, advancing to Director of Logistics and Distributions before retiring in 2010. Mr. Higgs was involved in the Canapor LNG project and served on various boards. Elected to the Legislative Assembly in 2010, he held multiple ministerial roles, including finance and human resources. Re-elected in 2014 and 2018, he became Premier in 2018, leading New Brunswick's first minority government in a century. He was re-elected in 2020, securing a majority. Quispensys resident for over 40 years, Mr. Higgs is married, has 4 daughters, and enjoys outdoor activities with his family. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Blaine Higgs.
Bonjour tout le monde. Merci. Good afternoon. Thanks very much for inviting me here and our PC candidates that's joined us here today. C'est un plaisir pour moi d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. I'd like to quickly recognize our candidates because, you know, we've seen that as the thing to do here in this, and taking up our time is very important to do so. So firstly, I'd like to introduce Honorable Ernie Steeves, Moncton Northwest. The Honourable Sherry Wilson, Albert Riverview. The Honourable Greg Turner, Moncton South. Paolo Andretti, Moncton East. David Melanson, Moncton Centre. René Efestillon, Shediac-Bay-Dieppe. And Rob Weir, candidate for Riverview. So what's exciting is this team is joining a team that is getting results across this entire province. Je vous remercie de m'avoir invité aujourd'hui. Lorsque j'ai préparé mes notes de discours pour aujourd'hui, mon approche était de répondre directement au sujet que vous aviez mentionné, comme étant l'Internet, le sans-abri, la sécurité en ville, les soins de santé, l'éducation et le logement. So I would have liked to have gotten details of all those items because, you know, I'm proud of our record. And I will touch through the hard work that we've had and the difficult decisions when we make. And any of you that are in business, you know that difficult decisions get results. And it isn't, you know, you'll have lots of discussions, you'll have lots of topics that are raised, and you'll have lots of input. But at the end of the day, you have to get a decision and move on. And I think that what we're seeing in this province is our province is in Deanley is certainly experiencing great growth, something that we haven't seen for generations. So through the hard work and the difficult decisions, we have turned not only finances around in our great province, as we've seen, we have 6 balanced budgets in a row. And you know what? Not only did we commit to doing that, we committed to doing it without raising taxes. So I would differentiate this. Anyone can commit to a balanced budget if you want to raise enough money from the pockets of the taxpayers. But if you want to do it and lower taxes at the same time, you make decisions that make a difference. And you make decisions that make it cheaper for people to live and work in our province. So that includes, you know, even during the pandemic, we started with one of the worst floods in history, the second year of a great flood, if you recall. We then went into 2 years of a pandemic. And yes, as a committee, as Mr. Coon highlighted, you know, there were 4 parties involved in making decisions regarding the pandemic. And it was a collaborative process, and it did work well. But it's not just about finances. And I know people sometimes say, well, you know, Higgs, all about the money. And it's not a business. You know, what I'm saying is the business is getting better results for the people that pay the bills. And you're the people that pay the bills. And if we can get better results in doing that, then that has to be a bonus. So it is about the people. It's about the people that live here and work here. And at this point in time, our population is up about 100,000 over where it was when we started. We haven't seen that kind of growth ever in this province. And yes, growth brings challenges. There isn't any doubt about that. And challenges that we haven't experienced before. Lorsque nous réalisons des surplus, cela nous permet de réduire la dette du gouvernement, le remboursement de la dette publique, réduire le montant de la part de l'argent des contribuables qui doit être payé et intérêt. When we took over from the last government, interest payments were the 4th largest line item in the provincial budget. Now it's reduced significantly, and this year alone, we saved $90 million on interest payments. That's money that goes towards healthcare, education, affordable housing, highways, and so on. We have a devil, and that's why we can plan to cut the HST over the next 2 years from 15% to 13%. I was planning to talk a whole lot about our record because it is nice to stand here and have a record to talk about. Because it isn't empty promises, it's actual results. And everyone in New Brunswick is feeling it. And everyone across the Canada is saying, what's going on in New Brunswick? They're not saying things like they used to say many years ago, whatever New Brunswick is doing to the opposite. They're saying what is happening to New Brunswick that is creating such a stir across this country, because we are recognized now across the country. We've passed the largest healthcare budget in New Brunswick's history. We're $1 billion more per year in healthcare than we were when we started. The purpose, though, is investing in the right places. What is the best thing we can do to have a patient-first strategy? It's an information management system. So we can access every capability of our healthcare network, both in Vitality and Horizon, across the entire province. We can give patients options of where they need to go and when they need help. So it's not good enough to go to one hospital and say, well, I can't do anything for you for a year. Give a patient an option, but I could send you to another hospital in the province. We could even look at how we guarantee critical care, because it's not good enough to have someone wait for critical surgery, critical tests in our province of healthcare that can be so much better. So when we talk about working together, the working together opportunity is for us to have our two health RHAs work together for the best healthcare for every citizen in this province. So when I talk about the sharing of progress being made under Housing for All plan, we know that housing starts are at record levels. We're now in this year alone, June 24, currently as of January to June 24, New Brunswick Records has 1,867 housing starts. That's the highest amount in New Brunswick's history. We have shared this, but I believe it's important also that parents be involved in the children's education. We've talked about that. We'll continue to emphasize the role that parents play in the young child's life. The homeless hubs, and they're operating year-round in Moncton, Fredericton, St. John, and I'm pleased that, our Minister of Housing has worked closely with the council here and the mayor to develop housing strategies in a time that it is so critical. I'd like to talk about the future plans as we want to introduce Compassionate Care Intervention Act to make sure people who are on the street due to addictions and pose a threat to themselves or others can get the treatment they need. How many times will we walk on by someone that's unable to make the decision for themselves, or they're a risk to the community or to people passing on the street, and just ignore it? We're not going to ignore it. We're going to find a path to help people. And the path is through mental health, addiction, and recovery services. We're going to develop that model outside of the hospital. So basically, we don't have the capability right now in hospitals to deal effectively with mental health patients. But that's not good enough. There has to be strategic locations around the province. And there are some already operating that need to be expanded. So there is a place to go when you want to go, and there's a place to go when you need to go. And we need to find that very balance. As part of our focus on recovery this week, I announced that the PCNB government will not approve any additional supervised drug injection sites. We will also consult with communities as to whether any existing sites should remain operational. Cependant, j'ai appris hier qu'un événement indiquant le gouvernement fédéral exige une attention immédiate et une réponse sérieuse. Les défis auxquels nous sommes actuellement confrontés pourra entrer considérablement amplifié. J'ai j'écris mon discours. Yesterday, so I want to talk a bit about what we heard several months ago, and I was talking here today about the University of Moncton and the situation we had when the federal government were deciding that they were going to reduce the number of students coming in, reduce the number of kids coming to our universities. We reacted quickly, working with universities to ensure that didn't happen, and that decision was reversed. Now we've learned provincial officials were invited to the conference call in which it was shared by the federal officials in Ottawa that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau government is considering a plan to send 4,600 asylum seekers to New Brunswick without providing any financial assistance or any opportunity for us to have the ability to build the resources and the capability to manage. Keep in mind that we currently have just under 400 asylum seekers in the province. This is an increase of more than 10 times our current level of asylum seekers. As leaders in your community who already see how our system is grappling with our existing population explosion, just think about this for a moment. Do you think Moncton could handle potentially thousands more people without the support or the housing to back that up? Now let's be clear, New Brunswick has always been a welcoming province, and we will continue to be so. We have a long history of embracing diversity and helping those in need. And our immigrant population are making our province what it is today, bigger and greater than it's ever been. But this sudden and unilateral proposal by Ottawa is deeply concerning, and I feel obligated to share the challenges it will bring to our province. First and foremost, let's talk about resources. This is a province of about 860,000 people. We have built a social infrastructure carefully to meet the needs of our population, and it is a challenge to meet the needs of the growing population. We're facing challenges when it comes to healthcare, social services, most critically housing. Adding nearly 5,000 to our system, or with a clear plan, 5,000 individuals to our system without a plan of any kind is going to be creating a breaking point. Even with billions of dollars invested in healthcare system, it's already under strain. We have added 129 more doctors and over 1,000 new nurses to the provincial payroll since we were elected. But like everywhere, healthcare is a challenge. Nous progressons sur les temps d'un temps, en menant des changements internes, pour faire en sorte que le patient passe en première. Mais ce progrès sera complètement effacé. Si 46 000 personnes supplémentaires doivent être immédiatement absorbées par le système. Without federal assistance to help accommodate the influx, we risk overwhelming the system and compromise the quality of healthcare. And perhaps the most pressing issue is housing across our province. Nowhere is that more acute than here in Moncton, Fredericton, and St. John. But here in Moncton, we know the challenges. We know the number of new units that are being built. And we know the opportunity is here now to build even more. So what will cause that to happen? Labor shortages are creating challenges at how many units can we build? But labor shortages are quite different now than they were 6 years ago. When I traveled around the province before, everyone was asking for more employees. And now they're not asking for more employees, they're asking for more houses. And we're asking for more skilled people that actually can build more houses. And so what is our current capacity? And when I talk to developers, they're saying, we're kind of tapped out, or prices are getting so high because builders are at a premium. And so the market is demanding higher costs to build. So right now, I'm saying, we are trying to meet the challenges that are caused by a progressing province. I'm calling on Prime Minister Trudeau and his government to reconsider this proposed plan. If they are intent on sending these asylum seekers to New Brunswick, then they must accompany this decision with the financial support necessary and the opportunity for us to map out the plan. So I'm saying here today that we have an opportunity to continue the progress of this province that is undeniable. We have an opportunity to continue the growth in our tourism, which is the largest it's ever been in activity. I think it's 2.3 billion last year alone. Continues to grow. We've seen it in every sector. We've seen record investment. Private sector is now at about 64%. It was the public sector was the dominating one when we came into government. So I don't think anyone is going to say we're going to do more with less, except me. We're going to do more and not tax you more. We're going to use what we have and tax you less, because our ability to work together and to build greater results is in every sector, be it education, be it health, be it housing, be it social development. We can do better. And I agree totally, together we can do much better. So I'm saying tonight, let's keep building, let's keep the momentum. Let's not lose focus on what we have gained over this last year, 6 years. It has been really an exciting time to be in New Brunswick. It's an exciting time to travel across the country because people know something's happening here in New Brunswick. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Premier Higgs. Oops. You're really tall. I have to put the microphone down. Merci beaucoup, Premier Higgs. This is a formal part of today's program. Please mingle. Feel free to mingle, to mix with other attendees. Take this opportunity to ask questions and enjoy the networking part of Candidate Connect. Before we conclude, tomorrow you will receive on your email a survey. So we really would like to ask you to respond to the survey. That's the best way for us to improve our events. Also, a big thank you to the team Chamber, who is all around. Thank you, Université de Moncton. Et bonne soirée. Merci.